October 18, 1987. Black Hollow County, West Virginia. The rain had started just before sunset. Not a heavy storm, just the kind of cold autumn rain that made empty roads look even lonelier. Back then, I was 29 years old and had been wearing a deputy's badge for just under 4 years. My name is Daniel Brooks, and if there's one thing I learned during those years, it's this. Most 911 calls have explanations. Domestic disputes, drunk drivers, lost hikers, false alarms. But every once in a while, a call comes through that never should have existed. This was one of those calls. The county dispatch office was unusually quiet that Sunday night. Sheriff Walter Harris was finishing paperwork in his office. Deputy Mike Jensen was out responding to a vehicle accident near Route 41. That left only me and dispatcher Linda Morris inside the station. Linda had worked dispatch for nearly 20 years. Nothing rattled her. She'd calmly talked people through shootings, heart attacks, and house fires. But at exactly 11:47 p.m., I watched the color drain from her face. She stared at her headset, didn't say a word, just listened. Then, very slowly, she looked at me. "Daniel." I walked over. "What happened?" She removed one side of the headset. "You should hear this." I slipped the headset on. At first, nothing, only static, soft, constant, like an old radio searching for a station. Then, I heard breathing, very faint, almost impossible to notice. A child, breathing slowly. I spoke into the microphone. "This is Black Hollow Sheriff's Department. Can you hear me?" Silence. Then, a tiny voice, barely above a whisper. "Please." The transmission crackled violently. "Don't." More static. "Let." The line hissed. "Him." Then, nothing. Complete silence. I looked at Linda. She was already checking the caller information. "No address?" I asked. She shook her head. "No number." "What do you mean?" "The system isn't showing one." That wasn't possible. Even in 1987, every emergency call left some record. A location, a switchboard, something. This one showed absolutely nothing. Just 3 words on the screen. Unknown origin. Sheriff Harris stepped out of his office. "What's going on?" Linda explained everything. He frowned. "Play it again." She rewound the recording. The 3 of us listened together. Static. Breathing. Then the little girl's voice. "Please. Don't. Let. Him." Silence. Sheriff Harris crossed his arms. "Sounds like a prank." Linda immediately shook her head. "No. I've heard prank calls. Kids laugh. They whisper. They hang up. This wasn't a prank." The phone rang again. Every one of us jumped. Same emergency line. Same impossible caller. Linda answered immediately. "Black Hollow Sheriff's Department." Nothing. Only breathing. Then 3 slow knocks. Knock. 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 Not on the phone. Not through the receiver. Actual knocks. Like someone was standing beside the caller, hitting a wooden door. The little girl suddenly whispered, "He found me." The line went dead. The room stayed silent. No one moved. Sheriff Harris finally looked at me. "Take the cruiser. Check every abandoned property within 10 miles. I nodded. "Yes, sir." Linda suddenly interrupted. "Wait." She reached beneath the dispatch desk, pulled out an old county property map, yellowed with age. Most of the ink had faded. She pointed toward a tiny mark near the edge of Black Hollow Forest. "There." Sheriff Harris frowned. "What is that?" Linda hesitated. "I don't know, but every strange call we've ever received has been somewhere near this place." I looked closer. The map labeled it Black Hollow House. Property condemned. 1974. Owner, the Walker family. Status, no remaining survivors. Sheriff Harris sighed. "I thought they tore that place down." Linda quietly replied, "They tried." 20 minutes later, I was driving County Unit 12 through the rain. The windshield wipers struggled against the cold drizzle. The headlights barely reached beyond the winding mountain road. Black Hollow House sat another 15 miles ahead. I kept replaying the little girl's voice in my head. He found me. Something about it felt wrong. Not because she sounded scared, because she sounded alone, as if she'd been alone for a very long time. At 12:31 a.m., my police radio crackled. Dispatch. Daniel. Linda's voice sounded different, almost frightened. I just received another 911 call. I grabbed the microphone. Same girl. A long pause. Then she answered, "No." My grip tightened on the steering wheel. "Then who?" Static filled the radio. Finally, Linda whispered. The caller said, "Tell Deputy Brooks. Don't go into the basement." The transmission abruptly cut out. At that exact moment, my cruiser headlights illuminated an old wooden sign beside the road. Half-rotten, covered in moss. The faded white letters read, "Welcome to Black Hollow." And just beyond the sign, standing perfectly still in the rain, was a little girl in a yellow raincoat, looking directly at my patrol car. I slammed my foot on the brake. The patrol cruiser skidded across the wet pavement before stopping only 20 feet from the girl. Rain drummed against the windshield. For several seconds, neither of us moved. She simply stood there, yellow raincoat, bare feet, hands hanging at her sides. Her long brown hair stuck to her face from the rain. She couldn't have been older than 8, maybe 9. I reached for the radio. "Dispatch, this is Unit 12. Static. Nothing else." I tried again. "Linda, do you copy?" Only static. The radio was dead. I picked up the flashlight from the passenger seat, checked my revolver. Not because I expected trouble, because every police officer develops habits. Unknown situation, unknown person, middle of nowhere. You prepare. The cold rain hit my face as soon as I stepped out of the cruiser. "Sweetheart," my voice echoed through the empty road. No response. "You shouldn't be out here. Where are your parents?" The little girl slowly raised her head. Her eyes looked perfectly normal. Blue, clear, not glowing, not frightening, just tired, very tired. She quietly asked, "Are you the police?" "I am. My name's Daniel. What's yours?" She hesitated, almost as if she'd forgotten. Then, "My name is Lily." "Okay, Lily, can you tell me why you're standing out here?" Instead of answering, she looked past me, toward the darkness behind my cruiser. Her expression suddenly changed. Fear. Real fear. "He's coming." I instinctively turned around. Nothing. Only rain. Trees. The empty mountain road. When I looked back, Lily hadn't moved. She was still staring beyond me. "He doesn't like visitors." I forced a calm smile. "Who?" She whispered. "The man in the basement." A cold chill ran across my back. "Do you live in Black Hollow House?" She nodded once. My pulse quickened. "The Walker House. The condemned farmhouse. Is your family inside?" She looked confused. "My family." A long pause. Then, "They're downstairs." Something about the way she answered didn't sound right. Not emotionally, factually, like she genuinely believed it. I slowly stepped closer. "Lily, how long have you been here?" She looked toward the sky, thinking, then quietly replied, "A long time." "How long?" She shrugged. "I don't know." Lightning flashed across the mountains. For a split second, the woods behind her lit up. I saw the outline of the old farmhouse, nearly hidden among dead oak trees. Its windows were dark. Its porch sagged. One side of the roof had collapsed. It looked abandoned, exactly as the county records described. The lightning faded. Darkness returned. I looked back toward Lily. She was gone. I froze. There had been nowhere for her to run. No sound. No footsteps. Nothing. She had simply disappeared. I searched the roadside with my flashlight. Empty. Then, I noticed something lying in the middle of the road. A small stuffed rabbit. Old. Soaked by rain. One button eye missing. Its white fur had turned gray with age. I picked it up. The toy felt strangely dry, almost warm, despite lying in the rain. Sewn into one ear were tiny initials, LW, Walker. Before I could think further, my cruiser headlights flickered twice. Then, the engine shut off by itself. The emergency lights remained on. Red, blue, red, blue. Each flash briefly illuminated the trees surrounding the road. Between two flashes, I saw movement. Someone standing among the pines. A man, tall, wearing what looked like dark overalls. His face hidden beneath an old work hat. The lights flashed again. He hadn't moved. Flash, gone. I immediately drew my flashlight toward the trees. Nothing. Sheriff's Department. I shouted. If someone's out there, identify yourself. Only the rain answered. Then, a voice. Not from the woods. Right behind me. Soft. Childlike. Don't shout. I spun around. Lily stood beside the patrol car, close enough that I almost collided with her. She hadn't made a single sound. She slowly pointed toward the farmhouse. You have to hurry. Why? Her voice trembled. Because, she whispered, he wakes up when the clock stops. I looked at my wristwatch. 12:47 a.m. The second hand wasn't moving. Neither was the minute hand. The watch had stopped. At that exact moment, every light inside Black Hollow House suddenly turned on. One by one. Top floor, bottom floor, kitchen, living room, hallway, as if an entire family had just arrived home. Then, through the upstairs window, I saw silhouettes. Not one, not two, at least 6 people, standing perfectly still, watching me from inside the abandoned house. And among them, one very tall figure that never seemed to fit inside the room. I counted them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 figures stood motionless behind the upstairs windows. None of them moved. None of them blinked. They simply watched. The patrol car's red and blue emergency lights washed across the farmhouse, making the silhouettes appear and disappear every few seconds. Red, blue, darkness, red, blue, darkness. Every flash made them seem a little closer to the glass. I slowly reached for my radio. Dispatch. Static. Nothing. I tried another frequency. Nothing. Even the weather channel was silent. It was as if the entire mountain had swallowed every radio signal. When I looked toward Lily, she was gone again. Only the old stuffed rabbit remained on the hood of my cruiser, exactly where I had never placed it. A cold wind swept through the trees. Then, every light inside the farmhouse went out. Instantly, the building disappeared into darkness. I stood there for several seconds, listening. Nothing. No insects. No birds. Even the rain had become strangely quiet. Only the sound of water dripping from the trees remained. Police officers are trained not to rush into unknown buildings alone, especially abandoned ones. Especially at night. I knew the rules. Wait for backup. Secure the perimeter. Assess the risk. But there was one problem. The dispatcher had received 2 emergency calls, both asking for help. And somewhere inside that house, someone had known my name. I grabbed the shotgun from the cruiser rack, checked the chamber, loaded, then clipped my flashlight beneath the barrel. I wasn't expecting a ghost. I was expecting a dangerous person. Sometimes reality is worse than imagination. The muddy path leading to the farmhouse had almost disappeared beneath weeds. It looked as though no one had walked it in years. Yet, I noticed something strange. The footprints stopped. Not faded. Not washed away. Stopped. As if the child had simply vanished into thin air. The front porch groaned beneath my boots. One loose board snapped loudly. The sound echoed through the empty property. I waited, listening for movement inside. Nothing. The front door stood slightly open, only an inch, moving gently with the wind. It looked as though someone had left in a hurry and never returned. I pushed it open. The smell hit me immediately. Old wood, dust, mold. But beneath all of it, another smell. Fresh coffee. I froze. That wasn't possible. Someone had brewed coffee recently. Very recently. Black Hollow Sheriff's Department. My voice echoed through the hallway. "If anyone's inside, announce yourself." Silence. My flashlight swept across the entrance hall. Family photographs covered the walls. Most had fallen crooked with age. Some frames had cracked. Others hung by a single nail. I stopped at one picture. A family portrait. A smiling couple. 3 children. One little girl wearing a yellow raincoat. Lily. Written beneath the photograph. The Walker family. Spring picnic. April 1974. I counted the people. Father. Mother. Older son. Little girl. Grandmother. 5 family members. But the silhouette I'd seen upstairs, there had been 6. A floorboard creaked above me. Someone had just walked across the second floor. Slowly. One step. Then another. I raised the shotgun. "Police! I know someone's up there." No answer. The staircase climbed into darkness. Every instinct told me to clear the first floor before going upstairs. Standard procedure. Room by room. No shortcuts. The living room sat to my left. I entered carefully. Old furniture remained exactly where it had been abandoned. A dusty television. Bookshelves. A fireplace. Everything frozen in time. Except the fireplace. Ashes inside were fresh. Still warm. Someone had lit a fire here tonight. Next to the fireplace sat a rocking chair. It moved. Very gently. Back and forth. Back and forth. No one sat in it. The movement slowly stopped on its own. Then I heard a child's laugh. Upstairs. Short. Quiet. Gone. I stepped into the dining room. The table had been set. 6 plates. 6 drinking glasses. 6 chairs. Every place setting perfectly arranged. As if dinner had been interrupted. One plate still held food. It looked fresh. Mashed potatoes. Green beans. Meatloaf. Steam no longer rose from it, but it certainly hadn't been sitting there since 1974. My pulse quickened. Someone was living here. They had to be. Then I noticed the calendar hanging beside the kitchen door. Every page had yellowed with age, except the last one. Someone had circled today's date, October 18th, 1987. Beneath it, written in fresh black ink, were 5 words. "He's finally inside the house." My heart skipped. Whoever wrote that was expecting me. A loud crash exploded upstairs. Glass shattered. A woman screamed. Then, silence. I ran toward the staircase. Halfway up, I noticed something that hadn't been there before. A child's muddy footprints. Not going upstairs. Coming down. Stopping. Exactly 1 step behind me. I slowly turned my flashlight downward. The staircase behind me was empty, but a tiny voice whispered, right beside my ear, "Don't let him know you can see me." At that exact moment, a bedroom door at the end of the upstairs hallway slowly opened by itself. The bedroom door creaked open, slowly, patiently, as though someone inside already knew I was coming. I kept my shotgun raised. Every instinct screamed at me to back away. But another instinct, the one every police officer develops after years of responding to emergencies, told me that if someone was trapped inside, I couldn't leave. The little girl's whisper still echoed in my ear. "Don't let him know you can see me." I spun around. The hallway behind me was empty. No footprints. No child. Only peeling wallpaper and decades of dust. The upstairs hallway stretched almost 30 feet. Family portraits lined one wall. Every frame was covered in grime, except one, a photograph that looked freshly cleaned. I stopped beside it. It showed the Walker family standing in front of this very house. The father smiled proudly. The mother held Lily's hand. The older brother stood beside them. Grandmother sat in a rocking chair. But behind the family, standing inside the second-floor window, was a tall man, watching. His face had been scratched out. Not accidentally, deliberately. Deep knife marks had destroyed every feature. Below the photograph, someone had written in faded pencil, "He was never part of the family." A cold draft swept through the hallway. Every bedroom door slowly closed, except the last one. The open room waited for me. I stepped forward. Each floorboard groaned beneath my boots. The closer I got, the colder the air became. My flashlight beam caught tiny dust particles floating through the darkness, almost like snow. Then, I heard breathing. Inside the room. Slow, steady, adult breathing. I stopped outside the doorway. Black Hollow Sheriff's Department. If someone's inside, show me your hands. No response. I pushed the door open with the barrel of my shotgun. The flashlight swept across the room. A child's bedroom, frozen in time. Pink wallpaper covered with faded stars. A small wooden bed. Stuffed animals arranged neatly on a shelf. A dollhouse. Children's books. Everything looked untouched. As if Lily had gone to school one morning and never returned. Except, someone had been here recently. The bed had fresh indentations, like someone had just been sitting there. I slowly approached. My flashlight landed on the nightstand. There was a diary, blue cover, small silver lock. The lock had already been broken. I opened it carefully. Most pages were written in childish handwriting. Simple things. My puppy learned a trick. Daddy fixed my bicycle. I love pancakes. Normal. Happy. Then, the final pages changed. October 9th, 1974. Daddy says we can't go into the basement anymore. October 11th. Mommy cried today. I heard someone knocking downstairs. October 13th. Daddy nailed the basement door shut. He says if anyone knocks, we must never answer. The next page had been torn out. Then came the last entry, written so hard the pencil had almost ripped through the paper. October 18th, 1974. He got inside. Nothing else. A loud bang came from downstairs. I instinctively aimed the shotgun toward the hallway. Silence. Then, another bang. From the kitchen. Someone had entered the house. I reached for my radio. Still nothing. Dead. Then, I noticed something reflected in the bedroom mirror. Not in front of me. Behind me. A little girl sitting quietly on the bed. Yellow raincoat. Wet hair. Hands folded in her lap. I slowly turned around. The bed was empty. I looked back into the mirror. She was still there, watching me. She quietly spoke, without moving her lips. He's downstairs. I swallowed. What is he? For the first time, the girl looked genuinely terrified. Tears rolled down her cheeks. He isn't a ghost. My stomach tightened. He isn't a man anymore. Then, she slowly pointed toward the bedroom closet. I followed her finger. The closet door stood slightly open, only a few inches. Darkness filled the gap. From inside, I heard scratching, soft, rhythmic, like fingernails dragging across old wood. Then, someone whispered from inside the closet. In a calm, adult male voice, Deputy Brooks. Every hair on my body stood up. I've been waiting for a police officer for 13 years. The scratching stopped. The closet door slowly began opening by itself. And standing inside was a man wearing an old black hollow sheriff's uniform. His rusted name badge caught my flashlight. It read, Sheriff James Carter, missing since October 18th, 1974. My flashlight locked onto the man inside the closet. My finger instinctively tightened around the shotgun's trigger. He didn't move, didn't blink, didn't even seem to breathe. He simply stood there, wearing a faded black hollow sheriff's department uniform. The fabric was stained with dirt. His leather duty belt had almost rotted away. The silver badge on his chest was dull with age, but I could still read the name. Sheriff James Carter, the sheriff who had disappeared 13 years earlier. Every deputy in Black Hollow knew the story. Sheriff Carter had entered the Walker farmhouse alone in October 1974. He radioed dispatch once. Then, nothing. Neither he nor his patrol car were ever found. The official report called it a missing persons case. The town called it a curse. Yet here he was, standing 6 feet away, looking directly at me. He slowly raised one hand, not threatening, almost welcoming. Deputy Brooks. His voice sounded tired. Not ghostly, just tired. "I've waited a long time." I kept the shotgun trained on him. "Don't move." A faint smile crossed his face. "You sound exactly like I did." My heartbeat quickened. "What happened here?" He looked toward the hallway, as though making sure nobody else was listening. Then quietly replied, "I made the same mistake you're making." "What mistake?" "I believed the basement was the danger." A cold shiver crawled up my spine. "What do you mean?" He slowly stepped out of the closet. The floor didn't creak beneath him. That bothered me more than anything else. A full-grown man, making no sound. "The basement isn't where it lives." He looked directly into my eyes. "The basement is where it was trapped." The sentence hung in the air. Before I could ask another question, the house groaned. Not the normal sound of old wood settling. This sounded deeper, almost like the house itself had taken a breath. Every window rattled at once. The walls vibrated. Dust poured from the ceiling. Sheriff Carter suddenly looked terrified. "He's awake." The temperature dropped instantly. My breath became visible. The flashlight flickered. Then, every grandfather clock inside the house began chiming. Not one, dozens, though I had only seen a single clock downstairs. 1, 2, 3. The bells echoed unnaturally, as if coming from every room simultaneously. By the 12th chime, the entire farmhouse was shaking. Then came the 13th, a sound unlike any bell I'd ever heard. Lower, slower, almost alive. Sheriff Carter closed his eyes. "We're too late." A loud crash erupted downstairs. Glass exploded. Furniture overturned. Something massive was walking through the first floor. Not running, walking, slowly, deliberately. Each footstep shook the house. Thud, thud, thud. It wasn't trying to hide. It wanted us to hear it coming. I moved toward the bedroom door. Sheriff Carter grabbed my arm. His hand felt cold. Not freezing, just wrong, like touching stone. "You still don't understand." "What?" "It already knew you'd come." He pointed toward Lily's diary lying on the bed. I looked down. The pages were turning by themselves, one after another, faster, faster, until they stopped, on a page that hadn't been there before. Fresh ink slowly appeared across the paper, as if an invisible hand were writing. October 18th, 1987. The words continued forming. "Dear Lily, the next police officer has finally arrived." My blood ran cold. Another sentence appeared. "He'll open the basement for me." The pen strokes continued. Slow, patient, just like Sheriff Carter did. I looked up. "What is this?" Sheriff Carter didn't answer. Instead, he slowly rolled up his left sleeve. My stomach turned. His arm wasn't human anymore. The skin had become gray and cracked. Long black veins crawled beneath it, and burned into his forearm was a symbol, a large black circle with the number 13. I tried locking it. His voice trembled. I thought I succeeded. Tears filled his eyes. I only locked myself inside. Suddenly, a little girl's scream echoed from downstairs. "Lily!" A woman's voice, panicked, desperate. Then a man shouting, "Run!" The entire house exploded with noise. Footsteps, breaking glass, children crying. It sounded as though the Walker family's final night was happening all over again, right beneath us. I rushed into the hallway. The sounds stopped instantly. Complete silence. The hallway was empty. Then, I looked over the upstairs railing. The first floor was no longer abandoned. Every light was on. The dining table was covered with fresh food. A fire burned in the fireplace. The radio played soft country music. The Walker family sat quietly around the dinner table, exactly as they might have in 1974. Mother, father, grandmother, Lily, her older brother. 5 people, all perfectly still. None of them touched their food, because standing at the head of the table was a 6th person, a very tall man, dressed completely in black. His back faced me, He slowly lifted his head, as though he had heard me breathing. Then, without turning around, he spoke, in a calm, pleasant voice. "Deputy Brooks, would you please come downstairs?" The man never turned around. He didn't need to. He already knew exactly where I was. His voice echoed through the old farmhouse. Calm, polite, almost welcoming. "Deputy Brooks, would you please come downstairs?" My body refused to move, not because I was brave, because every instinct I had was screaming the same thing. "Don't." Beside me, Sheriff James Carter slowly backed away from the railing. His face had become almost completely white. He whispered, "Don't answer him." "Who is he?" Sheriff Carter swallowed. "I never learned his name." "You saw his face?" He closed his eyes. "No, and you don't want to." Downstairs, the Walker family remained perfectly still around the dinner table. No one blinked. No one breathed. Even the steam rising from the food had stopped in midair. Time itself felt frozen. Only the tall man moved. Very slowly, he pulled out the empty chair at the end of the table. Then, he gestured toward it. "Dinner is getting cold." The sound of the chair scraping across the wooden floor echoed through the house. Long, painfully slow, Sheriff Carter grabbed my sleeve. "Back away." We took one step, then another, never taking our eyes off the man downstairs. Suddenly, Lily moved. She slowly turned her head, not toward the man, toward me. For the first time, she looked alive. Real tears filled her eyes. She barely shook her head. Tiny movement, almost invisible. No, she didn't want me to go downstairs. The man spoke again. From the ceiling, heavy footsteps, directly above us. Thud, thud, thud. Something enormous was walking across the attic. I looked upward instinctively. The old wooden ceiling bowed inward. Dust rained down. The beams groaned under impossible weight. Then, a deep scratch echoed overhead, like giant fingernails dragging across wood. Slowly, searching, Sheriff Carter whispered, "It knows we're here." The scratching stopped. Silence. Then, one loud impact. Boom! The ceiling cracked. A long split opened above the hallway. Old plaster crashed onto the floor. Something reached through the hole. A hand, but not human. His fingers were almost 2 feet long. Gray skin stretched tightly over black bones. Its nails looked like rusted railroad spikes. The hand blindly searched the hallway, feeling the walls, the floor, the air. Then, it stopped, pointing directly at me. Every light in the house exploded. Glass shattered. Darkness swallowed everything. For 3 endless seconds, I couldn't see anything. Then, my flashlight flickered back to life. Its weak beam illuminated the hallway. The cracked ceiling was gone. The giant hand, gone. Sheriff Carter was gone. I stood completely alone. Then, from the opposite end of the hallway, I heard footsteps. Slow, measured. Someone was walking toward me. I aimed the shotgun. The flashlight finally revealed the figure. It wasn't the tall man. It wasn't Lily. It wasn't Sheriff Carter. It was me, wearing my deputy's uniform, holding my shotgun, covered in fresh blood. He smiled, raised one finger to his lips, and whispered, "Don't let him know which one is real." I stared at him, at myself. Same uniform, same height, same face, same haircut, even the same silver badge scratched near the bottom left corner. The only difference was the blood. His uniform looked as though he'd walked through a massacre. Dark stains covered his shirt, his hands, even his boots. Yet he stood there smiling, calmly, like he had all the time in the world. He raised his shotgun, exactly the same model as mine. Then he spoke, using my own voice. "Don't shoot. You're aiming at the wrong deputy." Every muscle in my body tightened. My finger rested against the trigger, but I didn't fire, because if someone had shown me a mirror, the reflection would have looked exactly like him. The other Daniel slowly lowered his weapon. "I know what you're thinking. You think I'm pretending." He smiled. "I thought the same thing." "What are you?" I asked. He ignored the question. Instead, he asked one of his own. "What was your first arrest?" Without thinking, I answered, "A drunk driver on Route 41. He nodded. "Mine too. When did your father die?" I froze. Only a handful of people knew that. "Heart attack. I was 16. He smiled again. "So was I." The hallway suddenly felt much smaller, much colder. He knew everything. Not just facts. Memories. Private memories. Things I'd never told anyone. He quietly said, "Because I am you." Before I could react, the radio clipped to my shoulder suddenly came alive. Static. Then Linda's voice. Loud. Panicked. "Daniel, if you can hear me, do not trust yourself." The transmission cut out. My duplicate laughed. "She always says that." "What?" "The first time. The second time. The third time." He looked genuinely disappointed. "You never listen." A chill crawled across my spine. "What do you mean?" "The third time." Instead of answering, he reached into his pocket, pulled out something small. Metal. He tossed it toward me. I caught it instinctively. It was my patrol car keys. I checked my own pocket. Empty. My breathing became uneven. "How did he?" He answered before I asked. "You dropped them." "When?" He smiled. "Tomorrow." The hallway lights flickered. For a fraction of a second, I didn't see one duplicate. I saw dozens. Every few feet. Standing silently. Each one wearing my face. My uniform. My badge. Some were older. Some younger. Some badly injured. One had no eyes. Another held a broken arm. One looked nearly 80 years old. All of them were me. Then the lights steadied. Only one remained. He sighed. "You still don't understand." "No. This house doesn't trap people. It traps choices." He slowly walked closer. Not threatening. Almost sympathetic. "You think you've made different decisions. You haven't. You always come upstairs. You always open the basement. You always lose someone." My mouth had gone completely dry. "You're lying." He shook his head. "No. You've already lived this night. Many times." He slowly reached into another pocket, pulled out a folded newspaper. He handed it to me. The headline read, "Black Hollow House Destroyed in Fire. Date, October 19th, 1987. Tomorrow." Below the headline, a photograph. Firefighters standing beside the burned remains of the farmhouse. County deputies. Sheriff Harris. Ambulances. Then I saw it. The list of victims. Deputy Daniel Brooks. Age 29. I stopped breathing. "No." My duplicate nodded sadly. "That's tomorrow." He pointed toward the stairs leading downstairs. "Unless you finally choose differently." Before I could ask what he meant, the entire house shook violently. A thunderous crash echoed below, like something enormous had broken through the front door. Heavy footsteps, slower than before, much heavier. Each step cracked the floor beneath us. "Toom, toom, toom." My duplicate's expression changed instantly. For the first time, he looked frightened. "He's here." The footsteps stopped at the bottom of the staircase. Neither of us moved. Neither of us breathed. Then, a deep voice drifted upward from the darkness below. Calm, patient, ancient. "Daniel." Pause. Then, spoke again. "Which one of you belongs to me?" At that exact moment, every duplicate of me suddenly reappeared in the hallway. 20, 30, maybe more. All smiling. All turning their heads toward the staircase. And every single one of them answered together. "I do." The words echoed through the farmhouse. "I do." Not one voice. Not 10. Dozens. Every version of me answered at the same time. The sound was deafening. Then, everything disappeared. The hallway was empty again. No duplicates. No smiling faces. No blood-covered deputy. Only me, standing alone. The voice downstairs spoke once more. Calm. Almost amused. "Interesting. You're still resisting." The old wooden staircase groaned. Someone had begun climbing. slowly, one deliberate step at a time. Creak, creak, creak. I backed away from the stairs, shotgun raised, flashlight shaking. The beam landed on the far wall. Something hadn't been there before. A small wooden door, half hidden behind peeling wallpaper. No knob, only a rusted iron ring. A whisper came from behind me. "Lily." Soft, urgent. "This way." I spun around. She stood at the end of the hallway. No yellow raincoat this time, only a faded white nightgown. Her hair hung over her face. She looked exhausted, like she hadn't slept in years. She pointed toward the hidden door. "Before he reaches the stairs." I didn't hesitate. I pulled the iron ring. The door swung inward. Cold air rushed out, so cold it stole my breath. Stone steps descended into darkness. The basement, but this wasn't the basement I'd expected. The county blueprints showed only a small storage cellar. These stairs kept going. Far below the house, behind me, the footsteps stopped. Whoever was climbing the staircase had reached the second floor. A deep voice echoed through the hallway. "Daniel, don't hide." I stepped through the hidden doorway and quietly pulled it shut. Darkness swallowed everything. Only my flashlight remained. Its weak beam illuminated rough stone walls. The stairs looked ancient, far older than the farmhouse itself. Water dripped somewhere below, slow, rhythmic. I descended carefully. One step, another, another. The air grew colder with every level. Then, I realized something strange. I'd been walking down for almost 2 minutes. That wasn't possible. The basement should have been only a few feet below the first floor. Finally, the stairs ended. I found myself inside a massive underground tunnel. Not a cellar, not a cave. Tunnel. The ceiling arched nearly 15 feet overhead. The walls were reinforced with old brick. Iron support beams lined the passage. Some had collapsed long ago. Others looked untouched. Railroad tracks ran through the center, rusted, broken, disappearing into darkness in both directions. "What is this?" I whispered. Lily's voice answered from somewhere ahead. "The mine." I frowned. Black Hollow had never had a coal mine. At least, none that I'd ever heard of. Then my flashlight caught something hanging from the wall. A wooden sign, covered in dust. I wiped it clean. The faded lettering read, "Black Hollow Mining Company, Shaft 13. A chill raced through me. Again, the number 13. Everything led back to it. Footsteps echoed somewhere behind me, not from above. Inside the tunnel. Someone else was down here. I switched off my flashlight. Instant darkness. I held my breath. The footsteps continued. Slow, dragging, coming closer. Then, they stopped. Only a few feet away. For several seconds, nothing happened. Then I heard breathing. Heavy, labored. Right beside me. I slowly turned the flashlight back on. The beam illuminated an old miner's helmet lying on the ground. Nothing else. I exhaled. Too soon. The helmet moved. Not by itself. Someone was holding it. A hand emerged from the darkness. Gray, covered in dried mud. Then another. A man slowly crawled into the flashlight beam. His clothes were those of an old coal miner. His face was almost completely covered in black coal dust. Only his eyes were visible. White, terrified. He looked at me desperately, then grabbed my uniform. His voice barely escaped his lips. "Don't let him hear your heartbeat." Before I could respond, his expression changed. He looked past me, into the darkness behind my back. Pure terror filled his eyes. "No," he whispered. "Not again." His body was violently jerked backward, as if something enormous had grabbed his legs. He screamed. I lunged forward, grabbing his wrist. His grip tightened around mine. For one horrifying second, I thought I could pull him free. Then, something pulled harder, far harder than any human could. His body vanished into the darkness. Only his helmet remained, rolling slowly across the tracks, until it stopped against my boot. Silence. Then, from somewhere deep inside the tunnel, I heard children singing. Soft, perfectly in tune. An old nursery rhyme, one I'd never heard before. The voices echoed through the mine, growing louder, closer. My flashlight beam followed the sound and illuminated dozens of tiny footprints in the dust, all leading deeper into shaft 13. At the very end of the tunnel, I saw a faint yellow raincoat disappear around the corner. Lily had been waiting for me, and just before she vanished, she looked back and whispered one sentence that made my blood run cold. "He wasn't born down here. They brought him." I ran after Lily. Her yellow raincoat vanished around the bend before I could catch up. The tunnel twisted sharply to the left. When I reached the corner, she was gone. Again, only the tiny footprints remained, fresh, perfectly clear in the thick layer of coal dust. Bare feet, child-sized, dozens of them. Not one child, many children, all walking in the same direction, none returning. I followed them deeper into shaft 13. The air grew heavier. It became difficult to breathe, not because of the dust, because the tunnel felt occupied, like someone was standing inches behind me with every step. I forced myself not to look back. Every horror story I'd ever heard, every survival instinct, told me the same thing. Some things want you to turn around. The tunnel widened into an enormous underground chamber. My flashlight swept across it slowly, and I stopped breathing. It wasn't a mine anymore. It was a church, or what had once been one. Wooden pews filled the chamber, rotting with age. A massive stone altar stood at the center. Candles, hundreds of them, every one burning, without melting, without smoke, as if they'd been lit only seconds ago. Behind the altar hung a giant wooden cross, upside down. Its surface was covered with deep claw marks. On the stone floor, someone had carved hundreds of names. Men, women, children, year after year, decade after decade. The oldest date I found read, 1891. The newest, 1987. My flashlight stopped. Near the bottom of the wall, someone had carved another name. Fresh, still white where the stone had been cut. Daniel Brooks. Below it, today's date. I stepped backward instinctively. "No!" A quiet voice answered from the darkness. "It's never wrong." I turned sharply. Sheriff James Carter stood near one of the stone pillars. He looked weaker than before, almost transparent. "You followed me." He slowly shook his head. "No, I never left." He walked toward the altar. Every step looked painful. "I wasn't the first sheriff. There were others before me. They all came down here. They all believed they could stop it." He looked at the names carved into the stone. They all failed. I asked the question that had haunted me since arriving. "What is it?" Sheriff Carter stared into the darkness behind the altar. For several seconds, he didn't answer. Then, very quietly, he said, "It doesn't have a name, because names belong to people. This thing." Forgot what it was. A cold wind swept across the chamber. Every candle flame bent in the same direction. Toward the tunnel behind me, something had entered the room. The footsteps were slow, heavy, deliberate. Toon, toon, toon. Sheriff Carter immediately stepped away from the altar, his face filled with terror. "Don't let it reach the circle." "What circle?" He pointed at the floor. Only then did I notice it. A massive ring carved into the stone around the altar. Symbols covered every inch of it. Ancient, hand-cut. Some had been filled with dried blood. The footsteps stopped, just outside the chamber. Silence. Then, a child's voice. "Deputy, Lily." She stood in the tunnel entrance, smiling softly. "Come here," Sheriff Carter shouted. "No!" Lily's smile faded. She looked confused, almost hurt. "You don't trust me?" I took one cautious step. Sheriff Carter grabbed my shoulder. "Look at her feet." I lowered my flashlight. My blood froze. The footprints leading into the chamber had been bare feet. Lily was wearing black leather shoes. She slowly looked down, as if she'd forgotten. Then, she smiled, much wider this time. far too wide. The skin around her mouth split, cracking almost to her ears. Her eyes rolled completely black. When she spoke again, it wasn't Lily's voice anymore. It was the same deep voice that had called my name upstairs. "You're finally learning." The little girl's body suddenly collapsed. Not fell, collapsed, like a puppet whose strings had been cut. She hit the stone floor with a sickening thud, motionless. For one horrifying second, I thought she was dead. Then, something climbed out of her mouth. Long black fingers, one after another, followed by an impossibly thin arm. Then another. The thing slowly pulled itself free, using Lily's body like an empty shell. It stood nearly 9 feet tall, its limbs bent in impossible directions. Its skin looked like burned paper stretched over bone. Its face had no eyes, no nose, no mouth, only smooth gray skin. Except where its heart should have been, there was a human face, alive, blinking, crying. The face belonged to the missing miner I'd tried to save only minutes earlier. He was still alive, trapped inside it. His lips moved desperately, trying to warn me, trying to say something. I leaned forward instinctively. Then I finally understood what he was mouthing, over and over and over again. "Don't let it reach the house." At that exact moment, the entire underground chamber shook violently. A deep cracking sound echoed beneath our feet. The ancient stone circle was beginning to break. The ancient stone circle cracked beneath my feet. A deep fracture spread across the floor like lightning through glass. Crack! Every candle in the underground chamber went out. Darkness swallowed everything. Then, they all reignited at once. But the flames weren't yellow anymore. They burned black. The creature didn't move. It simply watched the crack grow wider. Then, for the first time, it laughed. Not loudly, not wildly, softly, like someone relieved after waiting a very long time. Sheriff Carter stared at the broken circle. His shoulders collapsed. His voice became barely audible. "It's over." I grabbed his arm. "What is?" He looked at me. "The seal." "What seal?" "The one keeping him underground." Another crack split through the stone, this time reaching the center of the chamber. The ancient symbols carved into the floor began glowing a deep crimson, one after another, like veins filling with blood. The creature slowly spread its impossibly long arms. Its paper-like skin fluttered without wind. The trapped faces beneath its body all began screaming together. Adults, children, men, women, hundreds of voices. Then, they suddenly became silent. Every face turned toward me at the exact same moment. The miner trapped inside its chest whispered, "Run!" Before I could react, the creature took its first real step toward the altar. The ground shook, not because it was heavy, because reality itself seemed to bend beneath its feet. Every stone it touched blackened instantly. Sheriff Carter grabbed my shoulder. "There isn't much time." He rushed toward the old altar, dropped to one knee, reached beneath the cracked stone. He pulled out an old leather satchel, almost completely covered in dust. Inside were dozens of yellowed papers, old county records, photographs, mine blueprints, newspaper clippings. One photograph caught my attention immediately. Black Hollow Mining Company, winter, 36 miners standing together. Except, there were 37 shadows. Again, one extra shadow belonged to no one. Sheriff Carter handed me an old journal, leather cover. The pages nearly fell apart in my hands. The first page read, "Property of Reverend Samuel Whitmore, March 2nd, 1891. I flipped through the journal. The handwriting became more frantic with every page. The miners broke through another chamber today. It wasn't natural. They found a stone room older than the mountain itself. Something inside answered when they knocked. My heartbeat quickened. The next pages described disappearances. Children, workers, entire families, all without explanation. Then, the final entry. We cannot destroy it. We can only imprison it. The house must be built above the shaft. The families must never abandon it. As long as someone lives above, it cannot leave. My stomach dropped. The Walker family hadn't lived there by accident. They had been guarding the prison, generation after generation. Sheriff Carter quietly nodded. They were never cursed. They volunteered. They knew. They stayed. So the rest of us could leave. The realization hit me harder than anything that night. The Walker family hadn't been victims. They'd been caretakers, protectors. Then everything made sense. Why Lily kept saying, "He found me." Why her father nailed the basement shut. Why the sheriff disappeared. Why no one ever escaped. The creature suddenly stopped walking. It slowly turned its faceless head toward the journal in my hands. For the first time, it hesitated. Sheriff Carter whispered, "It remembers." What? Its name. The journal slipped open by itself. The last page had been glued together. The glue crumbled with age. Hidden between the pages was another sheet, different handwriting, different ink, far older, almost unreadable. Across the center, one sentence had been written repeatedly, over and over and over, until the paper had nearly torn apart. Never say his name. Then, beneath those warnings, one final line, written in fresh black ink. Impossible, as though someone had written it only moments ago. Daniel already knows it. I stared at the page, confused, terrified. I've never seen this before. Sheriff Carter looked horrified. "You don't remember, do you?" Before I could answer, a sharp pain exploded inside my head. Images flooded my mind. Not dreams, memories, a mine, fire, children running, a little girl in a yellow raincoat crying, Sheriff Carter screaming, the house collapsing, and me, standing in the middle of it all. Not 29 years old, not even born, yet somehow, I was there, watching. The vision vanished. I dropped to one knee. My head felt like it would split apart. The creature smiled, not with a mouth, with every trapped face beneath its skin. Then, for the very first time, spoke a word. That wasn't my name. A single ancient word, one I had never heard before. Yet somehow, my lips instinctively whispered it back. The moment the word left my mouth, Sheriff Carter's face filled with absolute horror. He screamed, "No, Daniel!" But it was already too late. The entire mountain shook violently. Somewhere far above us, Black Hollow House began collapsing into the earth. The mountain shook so violently that I lost my footing. The ancient chamber roared around us. Stone pillars cracked. Coal dust poured from the ceiling like black rain. Somewhere far above, I heard the farmhouse collapsing. Not exploding, not burning, collapsing, as if the earth itself had decided to swallow it whole. Couldn't breathe. The ancient word I had spoken echoed inside my head. Again, and again, and again. I couldn't remember saying it. Yet, I knew it, like it had always existed somewhere inside me. Waiting. Sheriff Carter grabbed me by the shoulders. His face looked desperate. More desperate than I'd ever seen. "Daniel, listen to me. You didn't say his name. You remembered. The command." I stared at him. "What?" Before he could answer, the creature let out a roar that shook the tunnel. For the first time, it sounded angry, truly angry. His paper-thin body twisted violently. The trapped faces beneath its skin screamed in agony. Some began disappearing, one after another. Like smoke, the creature staggered backward. I looked at Sheriff Carter. I thought I freed him. Sheriff Carter slowly shook his head. "No, you awakened. The prison." The entire stone circle burst into blinding white light. Every ancient symbol ignited simultaneously. Not red, white, pure white. The light climbed the walls, spread across the ceiling, flowed through every crack in the chamber, like thousands of glowing roots. The creature screamed again. This time, it wasn't rage. It was fear. Then I understood. The old journal hadn't hidden the creature's name. It had hidden the words needed to activate the seal. The Reverend hadn't wanted anyone to remember the monster. He wanted someone to remember the lock. The creature lunged toward me, faster than ever before. Its enormous arms stretched across the chamber. The miner trapped inside its chest screamed, "Now!" Sheriff Carter shoved me aside. The creature's claws tore straight through him. He gasped, looked down at the wound. Then, he smiled. For the first time, he looked peaceful. "Good," he whispered. "It's still. Can't touch you." His body dissolved into white ash. Not blood, not flesh, just drifting ash, carried upward by the brilliant light. The chamber trembled violently. The altar split apart. Hidden beneath it, a massive iron mechanism slowly emerged. Ancient gears, chains thicker than tree trunks, hundreds of them, all connected deep into the mountain. The prison, it wasn't magical. It was mechanical, built by human hands, strengthened by something far older. Then, one chain snapped. Another. The creature laughed. "You cannot rebuild what humanity forgot." His voice no longer came from one place, came from every wall, every shadow, every breath. Then, Lily appeared. Not the false Lily, the real one, transparent, softly glowing, standing beside the broken altar. She smiled gently, not frightened anymore. "You finally came." Tears filled my eyes. "I'm sorry." She slowly shook her head. "You weren't late. You were chosen." She reached into the light, pulled something free. A small brass bell, old, blackened with age. "The last keeper," she whispered. "Must ring it." I stared at the bell. "What happens then?" She looked toward the creature. "It goes back. And you," she smiled. A real child's smile. The first genuine smile I'd seen all night. "I get to go home." The creature suddenly understood. Its body unfolded into something even larger. The ceiling shattered. Its arms stretched across the chamber. Hundreds of trapped souls cried out at once. "No!" It rushed toward Lily, toward the bell. I ran. Every muscle burned. Every breath hurt. The ground broke apart beneath my boots. Stone collapsed into endless darkness. The creature reached us first. One claw, only inches from Lily's face. She calmly placed the bell into my hand. "Daniel, whatever happens, don't stop ringing." The creature's claws closed around her. She never screamed. She only looked at me, still smiling. I lifted the ancient bell, shook it once. Ding! The sound wasn't loud, but the entire mountain answered. Every chain underground tightened simultaneously. Every ancient symbol blazed like the sun. The creature froze, unable to move. I rang the bell again. Ding! Cracks spread across the creature's body. The trapped faces began slipping free. Children, miners, deputies, families, all rising into the light. The creature roared, not in pain, in desperation. Then, it looked directly at me. For the first time, the smooth face split open, not into a mouth, into my own face. It whispered, using my voice, "If you finish this, you'll never leave Black Hollow." I tightened my grip on the bell. The chamber continued collapsing around us. Stone crashed from every direction. The only thing still standing was the glowing prison circle. I knew there was only one ring left, and somehow, deep inside, I already knew it would cost me everything. The ancient bell trembled in my hand. The creature stared at me through my own face. Behind it, hundreds of freed souls drifted upward like tiny stars. The underground chamber was collapsing. Massive stone blocks crashed around us. The prison was dying, and so was the thing trapped inside it. The creature spoke one last time, not with anger, not with hatred, with something much worse. "Hope, you don't understand. If I disappear, something else will eventually find this place." I looked around. The glowing symbols covering the floor were fading. The ancient chains groaned under impossible tension. Sheriff Carter had been right. The prison wasn't permanent. It had been maintained, generation after generation. When the Walker family died, there had been no one left. Lily quietly stepped beside me. She was becoming transparent, almost invisible. "It lies." She smiled gently. "It always lies." I nodded. "I know." She looked relieved. Then, she slowly backed away, toward the growing light above the altar. The creature lunged. Its enormous claws ripped through the collapsing chamber. Stone exploded everywhere. I barely avoided the strike. The bell almost slipped from my fingers. The creature roared. Every trapped face beneath its skin screamed together. Children, deputies, miners, doctors, dozens, then hundreds. I looked at the bell, closed my eyes, and rang it. Ding! The sound rolled through the mountain. This time, it didn't echo. It expanded, like invisible waves passing through stone. Every remaining chain snapped tight. The ancient symbols burned brighter than daylight. The chamber filled with white light. The creature screamed. His body began breaking apart. Not into blood, not into flesh, into ash. Gray pieces drifted into the air, then vanished. His paper-thin skin tore apart. The trapped souls emerged one after another. The miner, the Walker family, unknown deputies, unknown children, people whose names history had forgotten. Each paused for only a second, looked at me, smiled, then disappeared into the light. Finally, only one face remained inside the creature. It looked exactly like me, only older, tired, broken. Quietly asked, "Would you really do it again?" I smiled, not because I wasn't afraid, because I finally understood. Being brave isn't the absence of fear. It's deciding someone else's life matters more than your own. I whispered, "Yes." Then I rang the bell one final time. Ding. Silence. Complete silence. The creature stopped moving. His body froze. Cracks spread across it. Thousands. Millions. Until it shattered. Without a sound. Nothing remained. Only drifting gray dust that disappeared before touching the ground. The underground chamber suddenly became peaceful. Warm sunlight, somehow, reached the darkness. The old tunnel no longer felt haunted, only empty. Lily stood beneath the light. No raincoat, no fear, just a little girl, exactly as she should have been. She walked over, gave me the old stuffed rabbit, the one she'd left beside my patrol car. "My brother always said," she smiled, "heroes never know they're heroes." I laughed softly. "I don't feel like one." "You will." She hugged me. For the first time all night, she felt warm, like a real child. Then she faded into the light, still smiling, still waving, until she was gone. Everything around me began collapsing. The tunnel, the altar, the ancient prison, the mountain itself. I ran. Stone exploded behind me. The mine ceiling caved in. The old railway tracks disappeared beneath falling rock. I climbed the endless staircase 2 steps at a time. The hidden door burst open. I stumbled back into the farmhouse. The entire house was collapsing. Walls split apart. Windows shattered. The ceiling crashed behind me. I sprinted toward the front door. Just as I reached the porch, the farmhouse folded inward. Not like a building collapsing, like something underground had pulled it beneath the earth. Within seconds, Black Hollow House disappeared, leaving only smoke, mud, and rain. I fell to my knees beside my patrol cruiser. The first rays of sunrise broke through the clouds. Birds began singing. For the first time since arriving, I heard life. My police radio suddenly crackled, clear as day. "Unit 12. Daniel, do you copy?" "Linda." I grabbed the microphone. "This is Brooks." A long silence. Then I heard her crying. "Oh my God. We've been looking for you all night." Sheriff Harris himself arrived 20 minutes later with 3 deputies. They searched the property for hours. There was no farmhouse, no basement, no mine, no tunnel, only a wide clearing surrounded by old oak trees. County records later claimed the Walker farmhouse had burned down years before. Several deputies insisted there had never been a house there in 1987. I never argued, because What could I possibly say? 3 weeks later, I resigned from the sheriff's department. Not because I was afraid, because some stories are meant to stay unfinished. Police reports can't explain everything. Years passed. I married, started a family, moved 2 states away. Life became normal, at least, mostly. Then, in October of 2026, I received a package with no return address. Inside was only one thing, the old stuffed rabbit, perfectly clean, perfectly dry, as if no time had passed at all. Tucked beneath it was a handwritten note. Only one sentence. "Thank you for letting us go." No signature. Sometimes people ask me why I never became a detective, why I left law enforcement so young. I usually smile and tell them I wanted a quieter life. That's easier than telling the truth. Because every October 18th, at exactly 11:47 p.m., my phone rings once. When I answer, I never hear a voice, only the distant laughter of children, playing, not crying, not screaming, just playing. And before the line goes silent, a little girl always whispers, "Good night, Deputy Brooks." I smile, look out the window, and quietly answer, "Good night, Lily." Then the line disconnects, forever.